Hey everyone, in a previous video we talked a little bit about how most people are really bad at knowing how much they're eating. And in this video we wanted to kind of extend that conversation to a discussion about what a lot of people like to refer to as starvation mode.
Or metabolic damage.
Or metabolic damage. And the reason we're extending it to our previous video is because in that video we included an example of researchers that looked at obese participants that said, I'm eating less than 1,200 calories per day, I'm not losing weight, and it has to be my metabolism or my genetics. And
broken.
So, it's a very common belief that eating very low-calorie diets is going to, destroy your metabolism.
Or that you're eating a very low-calorie diet and your metabolism is broken.
Yeah, because you're not losing weight.
I've had that happen to me so much recently, and I thought that was like a myth that was busted already. It's not.
Yeah, and so the two really go together because it's like, well, on the one hand, no, your metabolism isn't broken, but on the other hand, you're also probably eating a lot more than you say you're eating. It's like they have a bowl of guacamole for lunch, and then they're like, it was an avocado salad. And it's like, no, it wasn't.
Who's 200 calories?
But yeah, so
why don't you explain what people think metabolic damage is?
Basically, your metabolism is just super, super, super slow. And you don't burn any calories doing anything.
And you're over-exercising and under-eating, and you're still not losing weight.
And it's because your metabolism just went to zero. I mean, it's not like your body needs to use calories to keep you alive or anything. Your metabolism just drops, and then it doesn't exist anymore. That's essentially the belief. I mean, obviously, I was sarcastic in there because, one of the major flaws with that belief is your body does need to expend calories to keep you alive. Like me, my resting metabolic rate is 2,000 calories. I burn 2,000 calories literally just to stay alive if I did nothing else.
Guess what mine is? 1,400. And that's after I gained 20 pounds of muscle.
And so that's one of the first things I think is important to touch on is gender difference. Women have a lot lower metabolisms than men, generally speaking. Why? Because they're smaller. They have less metabolically active tissue. They are going to require less calories to stay alive. I weigh.
It's unfair. I get why people want to say their metabolism is broken. Yeah. I understand because I don't fucking like it either.
I weigh 70 more pounds than her. And so obviously I'm going to burn more calories to keep myself alive. And 70 pounds, a lot of that is lean tissue, organ mass, bone mass, muscle mass. All of that's going to require a lot more calories to sustain on a daily basis. And not just sustain, but every single time I take a step, it's going to cost more energy to take that step because I'm moving 70 pounds more weight with each step. And I have to move significantly more amounts of muscle mass to take that step. So the bigger you are, the more calories you're burning, period. And this is one of the reasons why when people have dieted for a while, they're like, I can't lose weight anymore on my diet. And it's like, well, part of it's not that your metabolism's broken. Part of it's that you lost weight.
So your calorie requirements are lower.
Yes. It's not that your metabolism has become broken. It's that you literally just require less energy to maintain your weight.
Yeah. Another thing I deal with is a lot of people, former eating disorders, like anorexia or bulimia, they say that they can't lose weight anymore. That's bullshit. We can talk about the Minnesota starvation experiment, but for reference, I've had my own slew of eating disorders, and I have no issue losing weight now. Still, I'm sure I screwed my thyroid up a little because I'm medicated for that, but you get on some medication. It doesn't make it impossible for you to lose weight in the future.
Well,
at all.
I don't even know if you can screw up your thyroid. I think it's just because you're.
I think you could do organ damage, if you diet for 15, 20 years. If you're constantly hammering your endocrine system. I do think that you could do some damage.
I think it's a possibility, but I think I want to touch on the other side of that coin, which is that people diet down and they get pretty lean. and then they say, oh, my thyroid just doesn't work anymore. And it's like, well,
you're too lean.
You're just too lean. Like,
for it to work normally.
Your body is still down-regulating certain processes that reduce your energy expenditure because everything you're doing is maintaining a lean phenotype.
Yep.
And so that's...
And I did that for years, too.
Yeah.
And I was around, 12% body fat consistently for several years, and my thyroid, my T3 was, non-existent. That's normal. And I just replaced it because I wanted to be lean. It was a trade-off and a cost-benefit analysis I did for myself. If you want to focus on exclusively health, then you probably shouldn't be doing it.
But even at the same time, with things like that, it's basically replacement therapy at that point. And so if you want to maintain leanness like that, then you need to look into replacement therapy for things like thyroid, because being that lean, one of the reasons it's unhealthy over the long term is because it downregulates certain hormones that have profound health benefits, like proper thyroid function. So if you want to maintain that leanness, then you should be doing everything in your power to make it as healthy as possible. There's
no herbal supplement that is going to offset you running around at uber lean levels, ever.
Yeah.
It's a choice. You either eat the food and gain some fat. A lot of ladies in the natural health circle do that. And they're like, I don't understand. I'm like, well, you're starving yourself, even if you think you're not. You have all these dietary restrictions, and you're starving yourself, and you're really lean.
Or more aptly, I would say, the body thinks you're starving because you're so lean. You could be eating a ton of food. You eat a ton of food, but it's all water and fibrous and...
Yeah, it's plant.
Yeah.
Plants. It doesn't provide my body with a lot of calories.
Yeah, and so, she can eat a lot of food, be very satiated, but her body...
And to other people, I'm eating out of, dinner salad bowls, they're like, oh my God, you eat a lot of food, but they don't really understand what calories are, so...
Yeah, exactly. And so now I want to touch on kind of the other aspects. So...
first, let's go over metabolic adaptation.
That's the part I wanted to touch on now, was that...
What it actually does, and how much does it downregulate?
Yeah, so for this, Ancel Keys, back in, I think it was the 1950s, he conducted the Minnesota Starvations, where he took already normal weight men. He had them walk on a treadmill for miles every day while diet them down on 1,200 to 1,500 calories, I think, of mostly carbohydrate. These men lost a ton of mass, a lot of lean mass.
They lost weight on carbs?
I know. Surprising. But basically they lost 25% of their body weight. And they were already at a normal weight in the low teens for body fat. So they basically looked like skeletons with skin by the time this was over. Sorry, a fly flew in my face. So what happened? Their metabolic rate dropped by 40%. But 25% of that, in absolute terms, was because they weighed less. The thing we just talked about. The other
you weigh less, you burn less calories.
Exactly. Not just burn less calories surviving, but doing everything. Exercise, just moving around, whatever. But the other part of it was a 15% reduction in their metabolic rate. And this is something called adaptive thermogenesis. It's where your body is like, hey, you're dieting, you're losing weight. I don't like that. I want to
slow everything down.
I want to try and prevent that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce immune function. I'm going to reduce rates of protein synthesis, and that includes neurotransmitters. That includes muscle protein synthesis. It includes hormonal synthesis, everything. And your body's like, this way I can conserve energy. Adaptive thermogenesis, as far as the calorie burn goes, in people that were pretty much starved for 6 months, it didn't exceed 15% of their metabolic rate. And so when people are like, oh, starvation mode, I can't lose weight on 1,200 calories, it's like, no, that doesn't happen.
For me, it's like a Quest bar.
Yeah.
It's nothing. If you're not losing weight and you cut calories, cut them more. It's that simple.
Yeah.
Your metabolism isn't broken. there would not be such a thing as anorexia if your metabolism was broken. Like, these people starve themselves to death.
Yeah, well, there wouldn't be a thing such as starvation.
Exactly.
But here's the thing, too.
Ask some Ethiopians how that goes.
Here's the thing, too. If you're a small woman, then, cutting calories further might not be the best option because you still need to get adequate nutrition through your diet.
And so I don't have my clients cut down to stupid levels because I think that you start robbing the body of nutrients, and like he's talking about neurotransmitters. Like, women are already kind of crazy. Sorry, they are. You start cutting into that, and you're crazier. Like, it just makes your whole life shit.
So, really, I mean, when you're a small woman where, like, if you're a sedentary woman, you're not going to be burning more than anywhere between, like, 1,000 and maybe 1,500 calories, depending on your size. And so when you think about creating like a 500 calorie deficit per day just to lose 1 pound of fat every week, you're already at like 800 calories per day or less.
I can't do that. I will not sleep. It just doesn't work. Your
life sucks, and you're putting yourself up at risk for nutrient deficiencies that just make everything else
worse.
And
immune function issues, that's cancer, that's COVID,
so,
there's everything.
So when a small woman, comes to us and they're like, I have metabolic damage, I can't lose any more weight, it's like, honestly, you're probably eating at maintenance calories because between the dieting you've already done, your smaller body weight, what little adaptive thermogenesis has occurred, that 500 calorie deficit you did have has disappeared at this point. And so what are your options?
Move more.
Move more because we don't want you getting nutrient deficiencies. You just got to be more active.
And it's hard because your energy's lower, but I have tricks that I teach my clients that help with the energy, the low energy.
Yeah, and when Briana is dieting for like a shoot or something, she's getting like 30,000 steps per day. It doesn't need to be like dedicated cardio. Like, she literally has a walking desk and she just walks on it all day, at a slow pace. So it doesn't overload.
I personally have to do dedicated cardio.
Well, yes, but what I'm saying,
it's because I'm small and I want to get down to ridiculous lean levels. Like, most people don't care about being that lean.
Yeah, and I mean, the point I was making is that it doesn't need to be dedicated cardio. Most of your calorie burn comes from just moving.
Yep, walking, cleaning your house, you can be productive.
Exactly. Well, anything else that we wanted to add in this one?
No, I can go on forever about this topic, so we better wrap it up.
Okay, so to sum up, starvation mode doesn't exist. When you diet, two things are going to happen that are going to reduce your energy expenditure so that whatever diet you did have, you now have less of a deficit. One of them is you lose weight, so you burn less calories at rest and whenever you move around. The other thing is adaptive thermogenesis, so your body downregulates non-essential processes, non-essential for survival, but essential for optimal health. It downregulates these processes to expend less calories, like doing things it doesn't perceive you as needed, like muscle protein synthesis. And overall, this can reduce your calorie burn by several hundred calories, and if you lose a ton of weight, even more. And so what you were dieting on is no longer putting you in a deficit. Maybe you're at maintenance. And so you need to cut calories more or be more active. But there is no starvation.
I think something that we should hit on during this video is reverse dieting in the Instagram world. All the big Instagram stars and the hot girls with nice butts, those ones that sell diet programs, they all have reverse diet programs. So what do you think about those?
I think reverse dieting is a double-edged sword because one of the benefits is that it lets you increase your calories so that you reduce your risk of overshooting your new maintenance requirements. The downside is that it's basically just extending your dieting period further.
I personally think it's all psychological, and if you work with your client to recover the psychological aspect of their dieting mindset, then you don't need to reverse diet at all.
Okay, I would agree with that.
And it's healthier long term for your mindset to just bump your calories to maintenance right away.
Yeah, so where is maintenance? Well, look at whatever calories you've been dieting on that is giving you relatively weight maintenance, and then add, several hundred. And this could be like a less stringent type of reset. You could add 200 calories for 1 week and then add another 200 the next week until you're about stabilized. Yeah, because what you should see is your body weight should stay relatively stable. Because what your
I have a hard time with that one though, because women love to see that number go down, even if it's unhealthy.
Yeah.
And so that's what I mean by they get attached to it. I would rather them go as close to maintenance as they can instead of doing 200.
Okay, well that's a fair point. But the point being is when you increase your calories, you're not just going to be suddenly in a surplus. Your body is going to see that, and it's going to start upregulating the processes that it toned down during the diet period. You're going to get rid of your adaptive thermogenesis. So there isn't really a risk of factor.
That's also why people think that they start adding calories back, and they're just like burning it all off, and they can't maintain.
Yeah.
That happens a lot too.
Yeah.
And it's just because your body's picking back up.
Yep.
That means your metabolism isn't
working. Okay, so anything else? Okay, yeah. Your metabolism is not broken. And if you enjoyed the content of this video, then awesome. That's what we're trying to do. If you love Tara, then great. We love her too. And if you know someone who wants to see Tara, then please share this video with them. Thanks.